Hi, this video looks at Edexcel A Level Business, how to answer the 4-mark calculation questions you are going to have to answer in your exam. So this is a typical mark scheme for the 4-mark calculation questions. You can see that 1 mark is available for knowledge and there are 3 for application. Right, the knowledge comes from knowing the formula and writing the formula. This was a question on the gearing ratio, so that's the gearing formula there that they would expect to see, and then you can get up to 3 marks for showing your workings. These are basically the workings that you would be expected to see. Now, I used to be an examiner for AQA, but it's the same advice that's given, I'm sure, by nearly every teacher, and it's not just in business. For any calculation question, in science, in maths, in geography, I am sure that you are told to show your workings. And yet, every year when I marked for AQA, there were students who did not show their workings, and I used to get annoyed with the teachers. I used to think, oh my goodness, the teachers aren't telling them to show their workings. And then I found over the years that my students also didn't show their workings, despite the fact I know that I always tell students to show workings. And why do we say show workings? Why do we hear that? Because it does say down here, if the only answer is given is the correct one, basically do give them 4 marks. Okay, well, it says that, but there's a chance you're going to go wrong. There's a chance that in the exam you just press the wrong digit on the calculator and you come up with the wrong answer as a result of that. Now, if you've just written the answer and you're out, the examiner can't give you any marks unless you've shown your workings, right? Even if the examiner knows what you've done, even if the examiner can see that you've just pressed the wrong button on your calculator, if you are the wrong answer, no workings, 0 marks. Whereas you can ensure yourself against that by getting at least 3 marks, even if you've got the correct answer, if you have shown your workings and the correct strategy to get to a correct answer. So with that in mind, what do I suggest? I suggest that you always, in a calculation question, start by giving the formula. You then show your workings. You make your final answer explicitly clear. So you are given some space in the exam. I should have it here really, but you're given some space. I've got an example here. Look, you're given some space by the examiner to show your workings. That space can get quite messy. You can see here that this student has sort of underlined the final answer, and that's good practice because sometimes the examiner can't exactly see where your answer is. Just put it in a box if you've done loads of workings, right? Draw an arrow to it, make it explicitly clear where that final answer is. And finally, just make sure you are using the correct units. Are you answering in pounds or dollars, or is it a percentage, or is it the amount of output? Whatever it is, make sure you have answered in the correct units and put the correct percentage or pound sign or whatever is required. So that's how to do it. I have taken a couple of questions as examples from the 2022 paper available on the Edexcel website to have a look at. So let's have a look. So first of all, you get into the exam, you write your name and you read extract A, and extract A is this. This is the entirety of extract A. I'll just let you pause the video maybe and absorb that for a second. Okay, so you're given an extract from EasyJet's annual report 2020. You're given their non-current liabilities and their total equity, and then you're given their gearing for 2019. Okay, so 2020, non-current liabilities, total equity, and gearing for 2019. Now, as soon as I saw this when I opened the exam, I knew that there was going to be a question on gearing, because I know that the gearing formula involves these 2 things, and we're given 2019 gearing, so it's a given that we're going to be asked to calculate 2020. And indeed, here's the question. Feel free to pause the video. Okay, I'm not giving too much away when I tell you that this answer is incorrect, but you might just want to have a go at calculating the gearing for yourself. Okay, and you are this candidate has done well, right, in that they have underlined the question, stating the difference to 2 decimal places. So they're telling you how many decimal places to answer to. So it's important to follow those instructions, and you're advised to show your workings. So this candidate has, in fact, got the wrong answer. Okay, you can't have a gearing ratio of 144%. So hopefully you have done better. How many marks would you say this candidate has got? Well, there's the mark scheme. 13.46 was the correct answer. Hopefully you got that. But this candidate got 1 mark. Why did they get 1 mark? They had the correct formula, and then everything kind of went a little bit to pot for them after that. But they still got 1 mark because they put the correct formula. So really important not just to write the answer, because if they'd just written 99.04, 0 marks, instead they got 1, and that's better than none. So that was that question. There were actually 3 4-mark calculation questions in this paper. So if you can nail the calculations, that was 12% of the paper. Now that is the difference between 2 grades, 12%. Right, that's the difference between a C and an A. So this was another question on there, another extract. I'll give you a second to pause the video and have a look at it. So again, let me just do this because I've actually messed this up slightly. Let's just have a look. Okay, so this was the extract, all right, without the question. And it tells you the revenue per room per night, the variable cost per room per night. All right, so in other words, that's the selling price per room per night. That's the variable costs. Put them together. I know that selling price minus variable cost per unit is contribution per unit, and then I'm given the fixed cost. So again, when I was reading this, as soon as I saw this, I knew there was going to be a question on break even. Okay, the question was how many rooms need to be occupied each month for the business to break even. So, crucial part of this question was that, okay, we're given annual fixed costs and we need to know each month. So, bear that in mind if you just attempt this calculation, which you might as well if you pause the video. Okay, correct answer is 50. All right, 50 rooms required to break even. All right, and you can see the calculations here, how they come to that. Here's an example of an answer. Their final answer was 600. Okay, where's this student gone wrong? Well, they calculated the contribution per unit correctly. They've also got the formula correct. All right, so 1 mark, 2 marks. They got to 600, 3 marks, but they didn't do the final bit. They didn't do the each month. That 600 needed to be divided by 12 to make 50. So that candidate got 3 marks. If they'd just written 600, of course, 1 or no marks. So there we go. In summary, show the formula, show your workings, and make your final answer clear.